Welcome to the Bucket List Buster Travel Show. Your Bucket List Buster Travel Show helps you make your bucket list dreams come true. Host Karen Duncan spent decades running the travel business. She, along with other industry experts, share their knowledge, travel stories, and wisdom about how to travel, where to travel, and how to have a stress-free adventure. Tune in, give yourself permission to focus on yourself, create lifelong memories with families and friends, and finally learn to relax, rejuvenate, and reconnect. And here's the host of your show, Karen Duncan.
Aloha, buenos dias, ni hao, yahate, bula, guten tag, bonjour, jumbo, boa tarde, everything's Irie, and good afternoon. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hello, you bucket list busters out there. How is everyone doing today? I am having a fantastic morning. And let me tell you a little secret why. I got a juicer. Love it. Thank you, Dorothy. And I have so much energy right now. This is just incredible. I, hadn't been one to believe the hype, but I'll let you know if this enthusiasm continues. Well, welcome to your Bucket List Buster. I am Karen Duncan, your host, and today is Expat Day. I'm an expat living in Panama, in case this is your first time listening to us. And I've been in the travel business for 24 years now. We own Peaks Cruises and Tours. And I am your host of your Bucket List Buster podcast that you can find on Spreaker.com, Spotify, iTunes, all over the place. But today's show is full of information about being an expat. Why would someone want to do this? What's the deal about moving away from friends and family? What's the key to making a successful move? This week's specials, we have 2 great Panamanian opportunities. We've got some statistics on 5 things no one tells you about moving, top U.S. airlines for travel news today, and then trends that are available about expat living, whether you're doing it for retirement or doing it for work. It is a trend. There are lots of people moving away from their home countries for one reason or another. So we'll talk about that. And in upcoming weeks, when we talk about being an expat, I'm going to have one of our local attorneys here that helps people navigate through making that move successful. What it takes in terms of legal immigration papers, what documents, things that pop up that you just don't expect when you decide to do this. It's been exactly 1 year. Well, it'll be a year on the 16th that Mitchell and I made the move from the United States. We were living in the Austin, Texas area and loved Austin. I'm originally from Chicago. He's originally from Detroit. And we fell in love with Texas. We met there in Texas, and we were in the Austin area for more than 30 years. So it's a fantastic place to live. But we reached that point in our lives where our kids were grown, and we were trying to make a decision on what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go. And it was a dream. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I do want to say a shout out, in case you don't know, your Bucket List Buster is an internationally renowned podcast. Thank you so much. So I'd like to give a shout out to the folks that are listening and continue to listen, continue to like me, continue to make comments, visit me on Facebook. I've gotten several new requests for friends on Facebook. How y'all doing? Yeah, that's a y'all. That's a Texas thing. I'm glad to be able to connect with you all so that you can watch my adventures as I go around the world and talk to people that are traveling around the world. So we've got the United States listening. Shout out. Yay. Canada. Love my Canadian friends. I'm meeting more and more Canadian friends here in Panama. And I'm going to visit Canada here pretty soon. We've got Germany listening, Panama, of course, Mexico, United Kingdom, and Sweden. So where are these folks coming from? Toronto. I'm going to fly into Toronto in the next month or so. Panama City, Panama, Sacramento, California, Chicago, Illinois, hometown, Seattle, Washington, Oakville, Canada, Tempe, Arizona, College Station, Texas. Hey, Texas. Honolulu, Hawaii, Antioch, Tennessee. You can find your Bucket List Buster on Spotify. That seems to be where most of you guys are listening. We've got Apple, iTunes, and Spreaker.com, of course. So is expat living for you? What's the real skinny about retiring or moving to another country? Well, things that you need to consider are, if you're not retiring, how will you earn money? So for instance, here in Panama, they had a friendly nations visa that you can get where you're able to work. The thing here, though, is Panama wants to make sure their own people are employed first. So you cannot come here and take a job away from a Panamanian. So starting a business is very highly encouraged. You can be sponsored by a company that brings you here. And then there's the retirement visa that my husband is doing, and it makes it easy because you just have to show that you make a certain amount of money every year for the rest of your life, and it's really good. It's only $1,000. So it's easy to transition to Panama, and that was one of the draws for us. But other countries require different requirements, and later in other episodes we'll talk a little bit about that. So the big thing is, how will you earn money? Where will you live is huge. There's all kinds of websites out there that gives you information about how cheaply you can live in a destination. And I will say that I was a little naive because I believed them, and Mitchell kept saying, even if they're 50% wrong, and it's that much, it's 50% higher than they say that it is, then we'll be okay if we do this. So that's what you really need to take into account. We came to Panama sight unseen. We had never stepped foot in the area that we're living. We came on a cruise through the Panama Canal. We've actually done that twice. The first time we did visit Cologne, and we took some excursions in that area, but that's not an area that most expats move to. The second time we came, which was the December prior to us putting our house on the market, 2017, we didn't even get off the ship when we got to Cologne because it was raining. I mean, just really, really raining. And it was kind of cold. I don't do cold. And we just decided we'd seen what there was to see in Cologne, so we weren't considering that area, and the places that we were looking to see were too far away from the ship for us to get to on that day. So we didn't go. Finding a place to live is important. People are coming here and doing scouting trips to different parts of the country and looking at the different living options available and comparing them to what they see online. That's the way you should do it. Can you speak or easily learn the language and culture? I'm going to tell you, folks, I lived in Texas, learned some Spanish, took some Spanish in school, took some French in school, but every dialect of Spanish to me is different. And the Spanish here is way different than the Spanish I listened to for 30 years in the Texas area. And as a more seasoned relocator, it is a little more difficult to learn the language, but I keep saying that will keep me from getting Alzheimer's, to be able to test my brain and challenge it like I'm doing with learning a new culture and learning a new language will keep me young, keep my mind adaptable and young. So that is something to consider. We're going to Tokyo in a few weeks, and the thought of trying to learn anything in Japanese is scaring me to death because it's so much more difficult. It's not something that I've listened to. So that is something to take into consideration. Can you learn the language? Are you willing to learn the language? There are expat communities all over this wonderful country and all over the world. And you could technically, in some places, never learn to speak the language of the new country that you've moved to. But why would you do that? As Americans, Canadians, Germans, when people come to your country, you want them to learn your language. So why wouldn't you learn the language of your new home country? Just a thought. What will you do with your personal belongings? Sell, 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 sell. That's all I'm going to say. Sell. We sold a bunch. We had a big old house and we sold a lot of things, but we still shipped some things that we thought were must-haves for when we got here, and we still had too much. Since we've gotten here, we had a big storage unit. We've gotten rid of a lot of our items. We still have 2 small storage units that we're going to have to get rid of even more. Some people come with 3 suitcases and that's it. That's the way to go. A lot of places that you move to will be furnished already, and the advice I have is to rent before you buy, because you never know what exactly you want to do, and if that's going to be the end all. You know, some people have come and they bought. I'm happy for them, but if you can bring your suitcases and just that, and your dog, some people bring their dogs. We didn't bring our dog. Then that frees you up to, if this particular space doesn't work for you, you can just pick up and go and move someplace else until you find that real connection with the community that you really want to be with. Will you need a visa? We'll talk about that in upcoming weeks, but that's going to be important. Or do you just stay during the time that you're allowed to stay as a tourist, go back home, and then come back again? A lot of people do that. And what will happen if you become sick or injured? That's a big deal, because your insurance in your home country usually does not cover you in the country that you will be living in. We bought insurance, and that might be something you need to consider. What's the health care like? That was a huge deciding factor for us moving to Panama, was finding a space where we could, as we get older, we knew we could have good health care. So those are some things that you want to take into consideration. And we'll talk a little bit more about why people move abroad and all kinds of fun stuff. Of course, we got our friends with the Wireless Traveler. We've got a new sponsor today that's here in Panama. We've got a great speaker. How could I forget Mr. Joaquin Arias of El Palmar Residence Units here, these wonderful beachfront property here in Panama, is our guest speaker today, and he is gonna make you want to move. I promise you. This is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster. I'll be back in a minute with some fun stuff on being an expat. Coronado Fishing Club, looking for that bucket list water experience? Coronado Fishing offers fishing, sightseeing, and island cruises around Playa Coronado, Panama. We specialize in fun, family-oriented trips at a great value for locals and visitors to Playa Coronado area. Ranked #1 activity on TripAdvisor in the Coronado area, Coronado Fishing Club has been leading deep-sea fishing and sightseeing excursions in this area for almost 3 years, and we know where to go to have fun and successful day on the water. Did you know Panama is a nursery for the Southern Hemisphere humpback whales? Whale season starts the end of June and goes through September. That is also peak fishing season. So whether you want to catch fish or see whales, Coronado Fishing Club has you covered. Book your trip now at Coronado.